All right, guys, welcome back to Trending Interactive Studios. I'm your host, Ben. Today we are going to do the spoiler review of X-Men Age of Apocalypse. I'm going to have my spoiler-free version in the links down below in the description. If you haven't seen this movie, don't watch this video. If you haven't seen it, just don't watch it. Click it, put it in your favorites, come back to it after you've been to the theaters and you've checked out this movie, because it was amazing, guys. I disagree with all of these reviews that saying it was bad, and mainly these reviews are coming from websites and companies who I don't think actually truly know the stories personally. I think they just read up on them and they really don't know the stories. So I'm telling you guys, don't worry about that crap. Don't worry about it. Please don't. Say, you know what? Screw off. I'm going to check out this movie myself and make my own decision, because these people, obviously, to me, it's just my opinion, to me, they don't have an absolute clue. Because if you know the X-Men 90s cartoon, and which was probably the best cartoon series in the 90s, in my opinion, by far, especially if you're a fan of Marvel, but throw on if you know the comics, and they did a tremendous job. So, first of all, the villain, Apocalypse. Like I said in my other review, he was a badass. How was he a badass? There was nothing he couldn't do. There was nothing this man couldn't do. Just boom, flick his finger, and literally he killed people. Literally, he did this once. Boom. And he killed a whole group of people. Just ding. The man was doing anything, and to end the movie, I'm going to go right to the end right now. To stop him, it took Jean tapping into Phoenix. And by the way, she didn't fully tap in. I'm not sure if people got that. And they're like, oh my God, they did the whole Phoenix thing already. No. It was just like a tap into it. Just a little bit. Just showing you a little bit of what Jean's capable of. On top of having Magneto, who at the very end realized what he was doing was wrong. Maybe not wrong, but more of the fact that he cared about his family, and in destroying the world, he would be destroying the very little family he had left. So, which Magneto had lost his wife and daughter earlier in the movie, like we know happened in the comics. So, that was a huge, huge part of it, which made Magneto very angry, and Apocalypse tapped into that. And then Magneto, there you go, we'll go right to Magneto on that. So then Magneto, to show how much of a badass he is. You thought Magneto was a badass in Days of Future Past? You saw nothing in Days of Future Past of how he just moved a stadium in Days of Future Past. Magneto in Age of Apocalypse was controlling the whole world. Everything about it, from the ground up, Magneto was tearing up. He was an absolute beast. So it took Magneto, Phoenix, Charles, Cyclops, Beast. It took everybody to stop Apocalypse. Now, to anybody that thinks Apocalypse is dead, you don't get it. He's immortal. Apocalypse is immortal, folks. I'm sounding like a little emotional right now. Well, that's because I have actually read a few reviews where they're like, they killed Apocalypse. No, they didn't. He's Apocalypse. He can't die. He is immortal. So he's fine. They could use him in another movie. He could be in the very next movie and come back even stronger. He could be in a movie down the road. Apocalypse is still there. They didn't kill Apocalypse. He is still in the Marvel Universe. He always will be. Like I said, you can't kill this man. He's immortal. He is probably in the X-Men part of the world of Marvel. Not probably, he is. In the X-Men Marvel part, he is the strongest villain. And if you just want to add all of Marvel, he might be the strongest. Thanos versus Apocalypse, I might give it to Apocalypse. It depends on which version of Apocalypse, depends on which version of Thanos. That's an argument for another day, not to have here. We're just doing a spoiler review here. So the other thing is, they introduced Wolverine in the middle of the movie. His spot was very cool. They did show some blood, which I liked, because when a guy has claws and he's stabbing you, you're going to bleed. And in the next and possibly final Wolverine movie with Hugh Jackman, it's rated R. So there will be a lot more blood in that. But they did put some blood in this one, but it was PG-13, so they did limit it. But there was some, and I was glad to see that. It was a lot more real. So they did start to tell that story, which was really cool. And then the end credit scene for this movie was a hint towards possibly the next Wolverine movie. So I'm really not going to be able to spoil too much on that, just to say check it out, but to say that it's a hint to one of two things. Most people that are of the reviews that I've read already have said that they think it has to do with the new Wolverine movie, which is probably where I lean to. But I will say that it could lean to something else because it involves Mr. Sinister. And Mr. Sinister, we know, is one of the main villains of the X-Men. And so that could be possibly part of the next X-Men. Because, if you guys know anything about it, the X-Men in the 90s battled Mr. Sinister on the regular. He was a common villain in the 90s for the X-Men. So I would not be surprised if Mr. Sinister is part of the next X-Men movie and not so much part of the next Wolverine movie. But it could go either way. I'm looking forward to seeing it, the next Wolverine movie for sure. And I'm definitely looking forward to seeing whatever the next X-Men movie is, which is what they're supposed to do, make you want to see the next one, and this one does. People that say this is the worst X-Men movie, again, they don't get it. So I loved how they introduced every character. That was huge. I love how Apocalypse was the one that found Storm, because that's actually true. That's happened in the comics. So I really like that, how he was the one that found Storm, tapped into her, made her even stronger. He made her into a level 5 mutant. When he saw her, she was talented, but she was nowhere near what she could be. He got into that, he tapped into it, and made her stronger. Just what he did with everybody in this movie and pretty much the comics. He turned Angel into Archangel, like the comics and the 90s cartoon. So cool shit. We got to see Angel, we got to see Archangel, and at the end, he doesn't leave with the X-Men, but does he go with the X-Men? No. But it hints that he can come back to Angel at any point with the X-Men and work with them. Or, well, probably still be Archangel, but on the good side. So that's really cool. Quicksilver was amazingly well done. If you remember the scene where he's saving Magneto and Charles from all the bullets, and everybody laughs at that scene. He did that scene again, a little bit longer, and I enjoyed it. I don't think it was as good as the last one, but it was good. It was a much longer scene, and they put a lot more to it, and there were some funny stuff to it, so I enjoyed that. It was good. I loved how they showed Charles and how Charles went from having hair to being bald. I love how they brought that up. I loved how they explained it. That was cool. Thumbs up to that. I was a real big fan of how they did Nightcrawler. He looked amazing in the movie. I was a fan of how they explained Cyclops. It makes a whole lot of sense. I very much enjoyed how they showed how Scott and Jean developed into a relationship. I really enjoyed that part of it. That was really cool. I'm trying to think what else. There was so much in this movie that I enjoyed. The biggest thing that I enjoyed, I loved how they introduced characters, and then I loved how they told a little bit of their stories, but not enough so you're like, okay, now we know everything, what's there to watch. They told just enough of each character for you to want to see more. That's something the other Marvel has done very well with the Avengers. And this time with the X-Men, instead of trying to give it all at once, like in X-Men 1 in 2000, they went ahead and said, no, we're just going to give you guys just enough to make you want to see more. And I do want to see more, so I think that says that they did an amazing job. I'm very proud of this movie. They kicked ass. I really loved Mystique's character, how she took more of a leadership role. Jennifer Lawrence was amazing in this movie. And I could definitely see she's not done. You can see why she's saying in interviews she's not done now. Because if you watch in this movie, she plays a very big role, a very important role, and they basically played it up to where, because what she did in DC in Days of Future Past, all these people look up to her. And I really enjoyed that. Jubilee was in the movie. She didn't play a big factor yet. She will in the next movie, guarantee it. Jubilee's spot goes up a ton in the next movie. We're probably also going to get Gambit. We're probably also going to get Rogue. Those three were not in this movie. They could say Rogue was one of the kids, I suppose. I doubt it, though. I bet we'll get the introduction of Rogue and Gambit in the next movie, and more done by Jubilee. Possibly Colossus in the next movie as well, since he was in the Deadpool movie. He was not in this movie. I'll give that away now. He was not. So the gist of it all, guys, is I thought this movie was really good. I enjoyed watching it. I recommend you guys all check it out. Like I said, they told everybody's story. Apocalypse was a badass. It took every one of them to take him out. Think of what I told you with Magneto. He was literally able to control the entire world from the ground up on his own. On his own. He controlled the entire ground and everything above it. So that doesn't leave a whole lot, right? Doing it all. And he alone was not even phasing Apocalypse. Then at the same time, Charles was fighting him in his mind. And at first, Charles is beating him down. Charles is, they tap into like the mental state, and then they're fighting. And Charles is punching him. Boosh, 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 boosh. Right? Apocalypse. He's going to build a better world. And he is just destroying. He's destroying Charles. And Charles is laying there. Help me. Jean. And Jean finally realizes she needs to tap into that world, into the mind of Charles, and help him with Apocalypse. And he's like, realize your true potential. Don't, face your fear, because she's scared of her powers. Hell, I would be too with her powers. And then she does, and she becomes the Phoenix, just for a second. Just long enough to help destroy like Apocalypse. But at the same time, Beast is running himself into it. You have Cyclops doing his full power, just lighting it up, just, kicking ass. And Apocalypse is the only way they get him is when Phoenix comes in and joins into the fight, and they take down Apocalypse. He turns into an old man from the start of the movie into nothing, into dust. He's gone. Like I said, guys, he's not dead. Apocalypse is fine. You can't kill him. He'll be back in another Marvel movie. I have no doubt about it. The Four Horsemen didn't play a huge role in this movie, but they will. You can guarantee it. The Four Horsemen will be part of this movie. Psylocke, who I enjoyed. Psylocke was amazingly well done. Olivia Munn, clap to you. You looked amazing in that suit, obviously, but you played her part really well. I liked everything they did with you. They still left a lot of her out, though, so you don't know her true potential. And she saw what happened. She actually turned on Apocalypse herself and got her butt whooped. Wait, no, she didn't. Trick! It was Mystique. So they show the real Psylocke looking on, though, at what's all going on. She kind of gives a little head nod. No one sees it. It's just kind of to herself. And then she walks off. And that could mean a host of other things. Because Psylocke was bad for a long time in the X-Men comics before she was good. So that could have any meaning. So they told a lot of the story, but left enough out for us to look forward to the next one. I'm going to do it. Sorry, folks. My channel is not a PG channel all the time. I got to give something special to all the reviewers of this movie that said it was bad. And it's just two fingers. And it may not be the most mature thing. I don't care. I went into this movie not expecting crap because of these reviews. And it reminded me of why you don't listen to people's reviews that don't have a clue what they're talking about. It's one of these. Right here. Sorry, guys, but that movie kicked butt. I enjoyed it. If you don't go see this movie, you're doing yourself a disservice. This X-Men movie was by far the best. I am going to challenge every person that said that they didn't like that movie to go watch every season of the 90s cartoon, go read the comics from the 90s and the 80s, all of them, and come back and tell me that movie was bad. Because if they do, I'm calling bullshit. Yeah, do I sound a little passionate, a little pissed? I am. Because I grew up on the X-Men, and when I heard that Bryan Singer destroyed the X-Men and that this is the end for the X-Men because the movie was so bad, it was so terrible, he obviously lost sight, he just didn't know what he was doing. Bull. So you go check out this movie. After you've liked all my videos, you need to go do that. So, then you check out this movie for a second time because you're not supposed to watch this one until you've seen it once. Go watch it a second time. And then a third, then a fourth, and a fifth. Give them the money. Because we need to show the people that write these crappy-ass reviews that this movie was damn good. Because it was. I enjoyed it. I hope you guys do too. Thank you guys for watching. This is the end of my video. For Trending Interactive Studios, I'm your host, Ben. We will see you next time. Peace, guys.